Hello, so today we are going to be testing MCo Beauty. So I have a ton of makeup from the brand here, as well as a fragrance that I want to talk about. I think there are a few categories that MCo Beauty doesn't make products in, so I will be supplementing with a few drugstore products, just so that we can do like an actual full face of makeup. If you're not familiar with MCo Beauty, they are like the ultimate dupe brand. If you thought e.l.f. was bad when it came to dupes, MCo Beauty has absolutely zero shame when it comes to their products and packaging. So I will go ahead and insert some photos so that you can have an idea of what we're working with here. You'll also see the packaging on the products that I'm using. This brand, I feel like almost comes off as a little gimmicky just because they are so blatantly copying other brands, but apparently they have blown up, they've gone viral, so I think it's time to give them a try. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn your post notifications on so that you never miss a video. I have a mirror here that I'm using, but I also have a mirror behind me, so if you see me looking away, that's where I'm looking. Okay, so we're gonna be starting with the MCo Beauty Flawless Glow. Unfortunately, this was the lightest shade that they had at my Target. This is in shade 2.5 Fair, which I mean, looking at it, I'm like, this is probably gonna be way too dark, but we're just gonna make it work. So like, if we're being honest, every single brand has tried to dupe Charlotte Tilbury's Flawless Filter. It's gotten to a point where like, it's just basically a new product category. This looks like it might be a little bit dark on my skin. I am just gonna use this more to, I think, prime versus actually use this as the color on my face. I've tried some other brands before, like I've tried the e.l.f. For sure, I've tried the e.l.f. version of this like a million times, and it just, I've never really been a huge fan of it, which it seems like a product I would love because I love a glowy makeup look. I love a dewy makeup look. I love anything that really gives you a glow. So I've always been surprised that this isn't more so in my like everyday makeup routine, but I don't know what it is. Just for some reason, I'm not crazy about this type of product. Okay, looking at this now though, this does not look bad. Also, maybe I just didn't use a ton of product and that's why, but it's very sheer, so I don't think it's a super duper bad shade match either, which I'm surprised about because, I mean, if you look at, like, look at this. I think this looks like Oompa Loompa compared to my skin. But yeah, overall, I think this is giving me a really nice glow. It ever so slightly evened out my skin tone. It's definitely not making me look shiny in any way. I think it's really just giving me kind of a healthy radiance. I'm actually kind of liking it. So we'll see. I am going to pair a complexion product over top of this. I was just a little hesitant to use this as my sole complexion product because I didn't know exactly how it would look. And looking at it now, I think I do need something on top of it. Okay, and over top of this, because I'm using more of like a shiny base, I'm gonna be going over with a less dewy shiny foundation. I'm gonna be going in with the e.l.f. Soft Glam foundation. This is obviously not an MCo Beauty product, but it's what I had. It's a relatively newer launch, so I'll go ahead and share my thoughts on this as well. And it's also a drugstore find, and it is like super duper inexpensive. I have weirdly been liking this. If you have seen any of my other videos, you know I love a glowy, dewy makeup look. So a satin foundation, in theory, is actually my like nightmare because I want to shine like a disco ball, and a lot of times satin will look more like skin-like, like natural finish, or maybe even make you a little bit matter, which I'm not always a fan of. But for whatever reason, I feel like this foundation gives you a very like natural skin-like finish. I will say, I don't know how this would wear in the winter. I've really only been wearing this foundation in the summer, where here it's super duper hot and humid, so I feel like I can kind of get away with it a little bit more because it can absorb a little bit more of those like excess oils. So when I am wearing this, I make sure that my skin prep is super hydrating and moisturizing because I do not want to turn into the Sahara Desert. I don't know if you can see, I don't know how it's showing up on camera. This is just like a pretty nice satin finish. Honestly, a pretty good shade match. I was worried because I have heard that this foundation does lean a little bit warmer. I have peach undertones, so sometimes I can get away with like a warmer complexion product, but not if it leans orange or yellow. It really has to lean that like true pinkish peach shade. So I picked up the shade Fair Neutral, and I feel like it has oddly been a very good shade match for me. I actually think I'm kind of liking this combination. I think that, you know, this does have like natural satin finish, but I think because I paired it with the shiny MCo Beauty thing underneath, that I'm getting a little bit more of that like glow, a little bit more of that radiance coming through, and I kind of like it. Okay, so my store did not have a concealer. I actually don't know if the brand carries a concealer. I don't think they do. So I am gonna be going in with a drugstore concealer. This is the NYX Bear With Me. I have shade Light. This and the Age Rewind concealer were like two of the first concealers at the drugstore that actually like popped off and went viral. And before like TikTok viral, like they went like YouTube viral, because they're really good. They're really good. They kind of changed the game for drugstore complexion products. I don't know, just an oldie but a goodie. There's a reason it's been around all of these years. One tip that I will give for this is I did not think this was gonna be my shade in any way, shape, or form, because I do think this kind of looks dark in the tube. I don't know if you can tell as much on camera, but this is like looks way darker than my skin tone. As you blend it out, I feel like it lightens up kind of a lot. I had originally purchased the shade Fair, and it was like way too light. So I had to go down a shade to light, and I feel like this is a much better match for me. Moving back into, I think all of the products from here on out are gonna be MCo Beauty, except for maybe the eyeshadow. We have quite a few in here. We're gonna go in with our bronzer now. So this is the MCo Beauty Instant Contour Cream Bronzer. I have mine in shade Light Medium. I think they only had 2 shades of this, which for me is a little scary because this looks so dark. This is supposed to be, you know, it has that little powder puff looking type applicator. So this is supposed to be duping the Charlotte Tilbury light wands, but like also every brand has duped the Charlotte Tilbury wands. I guess they're not the light wands, this is the contour wand, but still. So I'm gonna take some on the back of my hand. I will say it does kind of have a more sheer base to it, so that gives me a little bit of hope, but it is kind of warm looking. So we'll see. So I'm gonna apply this with my BK Beauty 109 brush, and then I'm gonna blend it out with another brush. I'm a little nervous. I'm not a huge fan of the Charlotte Tilbury contour wands. I'm using the terms bronzer and contour kind of interchangeably, but they're obviously not the same thing. It seems like a lot of brands just kind of interchange, you know, those words. Okay. We're maybe fine. It's definitely on the bronzier side. Where's my brush? It definitely sheared out a lot more than I thought it was going to. I thought this was going to be like actually mud on my face. So it's not horrible. It's definitely not horrible. It maybe looks a little kind of muddy on my cheek. I don't know. I feel like I'll have more of an idea once I apply my blush and stuff. This one, I think I tried one time before, maybe? I don't remember, but I don't really remember what I thought. I had like already squeezed the tube. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like brands like this, there's a market for them. You know, unfortunately, like as much as I want to say that they're, you know, that they're ripping off the big brands and things like that, it's like there's this huge population of people that aren't going to be buying the expensive stuff anyway. That being said, it's like, yeah, maybe they're taking some business away, but they're also kind of opening the door to a lot of people who might not be purchasing makeup otherwise, because they're giving these like hyped up products at a more affordable price point. Also, they're just not gonna be the exact same product. Yeah, this is duping the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, but it is not the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand. So there's gonna be these little differences between them that make or break whether or not someone buys it. There's always gonna be slight differences in the product, in the color, in the formula. They might be in similar packaging, they might be a similar idea of a product, but they're not the product. I feel like there's a whole lot of conversations you can have in regard to the ethics of all of this. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Let me know down below your thoughts on like dupe brands, because I feel like I kind of go back and forth, because I also understand the brands that like spend a lot of money and time coming up with this formula and this product, but also too, it's not like they invented blush. If a brand is coming out with a dupe of a blush and it looks very similar or whatever to another blush, the original brand didn't invent blush. Do you know what I'm saying? This is this is MCo Beauty. This is the Babyface Multi-Use Cream Stick in shade Lulu. I have used this before. I forgot how pigmented it is. I'm probably gonna have to go back over with a sponge. I applied some on the back of my hand and okay. I think this is supposed to be like the Westman Atelier blushes that are also like in that same packaging. This is, I think, a pretty cool toned pink shade. You can also use this as a lip color, which actually I think is very, very pretty. It is very pigmented. That is like one thing I will say. This is not my favorite formula, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think it does go on a little bit patchy just because it is so pigmented. Sometimes I feel like products that are really, really pigmented or really, really opaque, they can kind of apply patchy because you have to just blend them out so much. But that's the blush. It has, I would say, I don't know, I actually don't. The more that I'm looking at it, the more I'm looking at it up close, I'm like, oh, that actually looks bad. I don't like, it's really, really patchy. It's really, really patchy. I've used it before and I thought it was fine, but now that I'm looking at it, maybe I just did something different this time in the way that I applied it, but maybe it's better with a brush, but I am getting, like, it's giving patchy. It's giving inconsistent, but I also don't want to keep adding on product and look like I have a sunburn. I don't know. Can you guys see how, like, patchy that is? I don't know if it's showing on camera, but I'm not sure about that. Next is eyebrows. So I bought the MCo Beauty. This is their brow laminate, sculpt, and set thing, like a brow laminating gel. And it also comes with like this little comb and stuff. I have used this before and it's really, there's definitely a learning curve to it because that is the brush. Like it looks like as big as a mascara wand. And I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be just to like completely set down and laminate your brow, and then you can go in with your like brow pencil. I think I'm gonna go in with this e.l.f. pencil first though, and then I'm just gonna put a little bit of the laminator on top because I don't want it to look weird. I don't want to completely my eyebrows on. Do you know what I'm talking about? I just want to set them. So this is the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. This is shade Neutral Brown, which I tend to wear in a lot of e.l.f.'s brow products. I tend to just be the neutral brown shade across the board. So, okay, so I'm gonna set these now. This is, like I said, the brow lamination. This is weird, but I don't know. It's very, very, very white. And I'm just gonna go with a very, very light hand. What I'm most scared about always with like brow products like these are getting those weird little like white balls. Do you know what I'm talking about? I feel like you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Actually, that doesn't look bad. I think the key is just applying less. If you like a laminaty or more of a thicker pomade type like eyebrow situation, I think you could like that. What do we have? Oh, this I want to test. I have seen good things about this. I haven't tried the Charlotte Tilbury version of it. This looks really light because they also have a translucent shade. So I thought it was like translucent was going to be the lightest one, and then this was going to be a little bit darker. Yeah, it does have a mirror, which is kind of nice for being like a little doopy brand. I'm going to take a really, really fluffy brush. This is MCo Beauty 102. we're just gonna go over a little bit. I think it's kind of pretty. I think it looks kind of nice. I mean, I very, 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 very lightly set my face. So I guess I can't really speak to it a ton. I feel like for me, powder, I really notice more later on if I like it or not based on how dry my face looks. So I might have to keep you posted with that, but I have heard a lot of people have said good things. I mean, it looks fine right now. So, okay, so I'm just gonna do like a really, really quick ColourPop eye situation. This is the Deja Brew palette. You can pick it up at Target. It's super duper cheap because I don't think MCo Beauty has an eyeshadow, or at least they didn't at my Target. Nothing crazy on our eyes. I just went over with like an all over like champagne-y nude type shade. And then I'm also, not an MCo Beauty product, sorry. This is L'Oreal Infallible Grip. This is a new one. I'm gonna tight line really quick because didn't have a liner. They didn't even have like a spot for it in my store. So I'm just gonna go in quickly with this, and then I have an MCo Beauty mascara and MCo Beauty lip. Put a little bit of liner on to define my upper lash line. Okay, I'm gonna curl my lashes and then I'm gonna go in with the XtendLash mascara. It has a natural bristle wand. I don't know, they had a few mascaras at my store. They also had like an actual brow and lash growth serum, which I'm like, I don't know if I trust that, but go off, I guess. Okay, so our lashes are curled. Let's see, I'll show you the wand. I have used this, I think, like one other time. Natural bristle. It doesn't seem too crazy, honestly. The one is pretty stiff. Also, I want to mention too that this is not actually like that affordable. All of their makeup. Like I think these products averaged, I feel like $10 a product, which is crazy because like these are still from the drugstore. Like they're still dupes. I just feel like the price seemed kind of high for like what it actually is. Okay, so that is it on my upper lashes. I'm gonna put some on my bottom lashes too, I think. I can't speak to the growth serum aspect of this, but that's what it claims. Okay, so that is the mascara. I think it did a good job like lengthening my lashes, and I also feel like they're moderately separated. I definitely got some on my eyelid that I need to get off, so I think it looks good. It's not the best mascara that I've ever used, but it's not bad. MCo Beauty lip liner. This is the Perfect Pout lip liner. I have mine in shade Rose Saturn. I've used this one before. Again, pretty clearly trying to dupe the Charlotte Tilbury. I think this formula is fine. I think that's how I feel about it. I think the formula is fine. It's definitely like a drier lip liner formula. But I think that there's pretty good pigment payoff, and I do actually kind of like a drier lip liner formula because that usually means it's gonna stay on longer. And I think this is a pretty pink shade. I'm gonna mostly, I think, fill in my lips with this because I really just have like a sheer gloss to put on top. Okay, so our lips are filled in, and I really do think this is a gorgeous color. I don't think it matches the color that's on the end of the pencil. Like I think this looks a lot warmer and peachier, whereas this I think is more of like a neutral leaning peach, but still more neutral looking shade. But the formula is, like I said, on the drier side, which I don't mind, but it is something to keep in mind. There are definitely better lip liner formulas, but there are also definitely worse lip liner formulas. So I'm taking the plastic off of this. This is the gloss that I got on top. It's actually a plumping gloss. This is the Hot Lip Plump. I think this might be trying to dupe, just based on the font, not necessarily on the packaging. I think this one might be trying to dupe the like Fenty Heat ones. But I got this one, shade Fancy. It's just like a pink milky kind of shade. I wonder how actually plumping this is gonna be. Smells weird, maybe. This applicator is also very teeny tiny, so I feel like not a ton of product is coming off because the applicator is so small. Okay, this is definitely not giving me the shiniest lip in the world. I mean, I guess I didn't claim to be the shiniest lip in the world. I definitely do feel the plumpingness. It's not too bad if you've used like the, what am I thinking of? The Too Faced plumper thing. That one is definitely more than this. I definitely think I'm feeling the plump. I don't know if I'm necessarily seeing the plump. I do think this is a pretty shade though to pair with the lip liner. So I think it's a completely average lip plumping gloss. Okay, so this is the final look. I'm gonna talk about my final thoughts about the products in just a moment. But before we get there, I did pick up one of their body sprays because they had quite a few of these at my store and I wanted to give them a try. I'm just super curious. So this is supposed to be a dupe of Sol de Janeiro 71, which is one of my all-time favorite fragrances. So because I'm so familiar with it, I figured I should try this one and just kind of give it a little bit of a comparison. So this is MCo Beauty's number 4 mist. I think on the package it said vanilla, macadamia nut, and white chocolate. I'm gonna spray on this hand. This is the MCo Beauty side. That is strong. That is strong. And this is the Sol de Janeiro side. Without their caps, these are like actually identical packages. That is crazy, even down to the color of the package. So, okay, so these two are extremely similar. Very, very, very similar. Immediately I could tell that this was supposed to be a dupe of 71. So they did a great job at capturing the essence of it. However, I will say I get something almost a little bit fresher from the MCo Beauty one. Like it almost has that like, if you smell Bianco Latte, it almost has this like minty freshness to it, where it's still like a really heavy gourmand, but something a little fresh. And that is what the one from MCo Beauty has, but you definitely are getting that essence of 71. I think if I was somebody who wasn't super familiar with 71, I would just assume somebody was wearing that scent if they have this one on. Very, very, very similar. Okay, so let's talk about my final thoughts about these makeup products. So starting with the Flawless Glow, I think this actually really, really surprised me. I think I could have done a shade lighter on it, but this did give me a very nice like radiant base that I feel like is still shining through on my more satin matte foundation. So I was actually surprisingly really into this product because I typically am not someone who reaches for this style of product. I also feel like the Instant Contour Wand was a little bit of a shock as well. I really was expecting this to be a lot more muddy and a lot more patchy, but I actually think it's giving me a pretty nice like bronzy look to my skin. The Babyface Multiuse Cream Stick, I think I would pass on next time. I don't think I need to grab any of these in any other shades. It's just a little bit too patchy for me. I think I will probably use this more as a lipstick because this can be used on the cheeks or the lips, and I think that this would wear a lot better on the lips. So that's what I think about this one. Also, the brow laminate, I think this is fine if you're in the market for this style of product, but I'm also just was not overwhelmingly impressed with it, and I don't think I'm gonna reach for this very often, but I think this is a skip. Okay, the mascara is, I think, fine. I don't think it's anything amazing, but I also don't think it's a bad mascara. I also can add a comment down below updating you how this removes, because I know for me that's a big part of mascaras. It can be the most beautiful mascara in the entire world, but if I go to take it off at the end of the night and it's impossible to remove, I won't want to reach for it anymore. That's just like my personal preference, and that's, you know, that's something that I value a lot when it comes to mascaras. But I do think it's good. I can't speak to the growth serum nature of it, but it's definitely, it does what mascaras do. I will also, in the comment down below, the pinned comment, I will also update you guys on what I think about this powder, because like I said, I think a lot with powders depends on how it wears during the day. Like, does it absorb too much oil? Does it make my makeup look cakey? Is it going to sit well on top of my foundation? So that's something that I will also get back to you in the pinned comment. Okay, and then the lip products. I do like the shade of this liner a lot. Formula, I don't think is anything to write home about, but it is a nice shade. I can definitely see myself reaching for this, more so because of the shade and not the formula. And then this lip plumper, I think you can give or take. I think that there are definitely better lip plumper formulas on here. I think my main gripe with this is honestly the applicator. It's just so teeny, teeny, tiny. I think it's pretty. If you like the shade, you're in the market for this. Maybe if you don't care about applicators, this could be one that you enjoy. I personally think it's not my favorite thing in the entire world, but it wasn't bad. Overall, I think this is a really interesting brand. I think this would be a really good brand if you are looking to test out a certain type of product, but you don't necessarily want to spend a ton of money. So for example, if you're someone who has never tried one of these like glowy base products, you want to try this type of product, I think this could be kind of a good gateway into it to see if this is something that you would be interested in using at all. And who knows, maybe you'll really, really like it. But if not, at least you didn't spend $40 on the Charlotte Tilbury version. I also think this could be a good brand for like maybe people who are just getting into makeup, maybe teens, or if you are just someone who wants to dip your toe into the makeup world, but you don't want to spend $1 million on makeup products. These are on the more affordable side. I will say they are not the most affordable at the drugstore. The average price I would say is anywhere from between like $8 to $11. So that's also something to keep in mind. I think there's a lot of conversations to be had in the beauty space about brands like these and, you know, duping other products. You know, is it ethical? Is it unethical? Definitely let me know what you think about all of this dupe stuff and MCo Beauty in the comments down below. I'm really, really interested to hear your thoughts. If you haven't tried any of these products as well, or you have any recommendations for me to try from MCo Beauty, also make sure you leave those down below. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely love to have you subscribe, so click that button down below. I post new beauty and fragrance videos weekly. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.